So from now, all these libraries are infected. And the thing is, these libraries are very popular. Like in a week, you have like more than 2 billion downloads.
I feel lucky to have you to explain these things to me. There have been so many recently that I'm worried this might become a regular feature for us. Charles explains the recent hacks as something that we would all benefit from.
But now we are still seeing like large-scale attack directly targeting crypto, and this is completely new. This part is new.
So I think, in this particular case, this is really a wake-up call. So, Charles, thank you for joining us. It has been a crazy couple of weeks, and I just thought it was good to check in with you. And I have a lot of questions. I'm sure that other people have similar questions. And man, I feel lucky to have you to explain these things to me. There have been so many recently that I'm worried this might become a regular feature for us. But I think that, Charles explains the recent hacks is something that we would all benefit from and keep people safe. The one that I wanted to talk about first is the NPM attack. What does that mean? I mean, you rang the alarm bell on this, but what is NPM? How did it happen? What happened? And what does it say about attacks that might come in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So as you said, as an introduction, the threat landscape is evolving, and attackers are spending more time, more resources, and it comes from everywhere. So it's a little bit scary, but let's deep dive in these recent attacks. So the NPM attack was a supply chain attack. So to give some context,
but not a physical supply chain. It would sound like they went
not a physical supply chain, like a software.
Containers. Software
Exactly.
Supply chain. Yeah.
A software supply chain attack. NPM. So when you are developing JavaScript is the language that is the most used like on the internet, not only the internet, but mostly on the internet. So all these web pages are written in like HTML, but mostly in JavaScript. And JavaScript is this language that was invented, by the way, by Brendan Eich a long time ago. And
now does Brave browser. That's relevant.
Exactly.
Still doing it. Still bringing us the web.
Yeah, when I was young,
our personal favorite browsers, I believe. So.
Exactly. When I was young, I was a hater of JavaScript, and I was saying that it would disappear very quickly, and I was completely wrong. Now this is one of the language that is the most used everywhere on the internet, but not only on the internet. And it's mostly driven by open source. Like most of the JavaScript is open source software, which is great. And engineers, developers, like they like to share what they do, and what they are doing is libraries, so that when you are building a new website, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. What you are doing is like using these libraries. And NPM is the most popular repository where everyone like is pushing their libraries, and the open source one can be shared and used by everyone. So this is what NPM is.
So just to collect that for people, basically, if I'm making a website, then I'm probably installing a bunch of NPM libraries, because otherwise I've got to build everything from my website from scratch. When I'm using these libraries, there's lots of things I don't have to do. I can just like kind of stand on the shoulders of giants in a way. All this work that people have done on the internet before me, I have access to all of that code. It's available open source. But the way I do it is I type npm install and then get whatever library I want. And I just get it. I don't look at the code. I just get it and use it, right?
Yeah, you have the new version of the libraries, and you are using those libraries in your code, and you don't even pay attention. Like it's just like you are used to use those libraries because it's very convenient, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. And you have plenty of developers that are committing in NPM, but there are a few libraries that are very popular and that are used by most of the project. And these libraries are maintained by a few developers. At the end, there are not so many open source developers that are maintaining these libraries. most of the time they already have a job, but they are doing this like as a side hobby or maybe part of their job. They are participating to the open source community effort, and they are like maintaining these libraries, like pushing like new security update, adding new features. So regularly these libraries are updated so that like you can benefit from like the last version of the library. And one of this developer, which is his name is Kix, is a very reputable developer, and he is committing on plenty of these libraries. He was compromised. The idea for compromising him was pretty simple. Like he received a mail from NPM saying that his 2FA or GPG key expired, and he needed to renew his 2FA or GPG key. I don't remember which one it was, but this was the idea, and that was true. Like his GPG key was about to expire, so he didn't pay attention. He clicked on the button. He logged in on NPM with his credentials using his 2FA, and he updated his GPG key. And for him, the story was finished. For him, he was up to date, and his GPG key was up to date, and he could continue like using NPM normally. However, what actually happened was different. Like the link on which he clicked was not coming from NPM, but it was coming from the attacker. The attacker replicated the NPM website and simply like stole his credentials on the fly. So at the end, the developer actually updated his GPG key, but during the process, instead of directly targeting like the NPM website, he gave his credentials and token, 2FA token, to the attacker. So from this point, Kix thinks his GPG key has been updated, but at the same time, the attacker has an access to Kix NPM repository. So that means that from now, the attacker has the exact same right as Kix. And what the attacker did is pretty simple. Like every single library where Kix had right to commit, he simply added a small piece of code in JavaScript. And this piece of code was pretty simple. This piece of code was simply detecting that if in the page there is like a windows.ethereum method, which is the regular method when you have a dApp or a wallet. So when you are on a web page and there is a dApp or a wallet, there is this class and this method that is called. And the piece of code was simply detecting if this class was present, and if it was, it was like it was spying every single request at the network level. And if there was an address, he was swapping the address into the attacker address. So what does it mean? So, and then he added this piece of code on every single library where Kix has right to commit. And he updated all those libraries with this small piece of code. So from now, all those libraries are infected. And the thing is, those libraries are very popular. Like in a week, you have like more than 2 billion downloads. Like, so if you wait 1 week, in 1 week, like 2 billion projects will have like downloaded this piece of code. And so that means that after 1 week, almost like every single website would have contained this malware. So even if you're on Google or like any website which is not crypto related, the malware would have been present. It wouldn't have been triggered because there is no like windows.ethereum thing, but it would have been present on the page. So that would have been a disaster because that means that the malware would have been present everywhere, and as soon as like someone interacts with a dApp, then the address would have been swapped on the fly without the user being able to notice it. So that would have been a very big disaster. We were very lucky because the attacker was not that good in the execution, and he didn't think about every single detail. And one of the details he didn't think of was CI/CD. Like when you are a developer, you have like automated tests that will test your code, like your libraries and everything, to make sure that when you update it, like everything still works properly. And adding is a piece of code that is malware inside those libraries. He didn't think about this specific thing, and one of the popular CI just crashed. As a developer, when your CI crash, what you are doing is just, so that something has been committed in my code, and it crashes the CI. So that means there is a bug in my code. So as a developer, when this happens, what you are doing is, what's happening in my code, and you're going to investigate, verify. If it's a popular library, what you will do is even revert, like directly. There is a bug. I don't want this bug to be in production. It's a big issue that this bug is in production, so I will revert to the previous version. So this is exactly what happened. As one of the CI crashed, like the developer reverted to the previous version and started to analyze the code, and the code was obfuscated, like the malware part. But very quickly, he understood that there was something wrong. And directly, he triggered the alarm, and all the open source software community started to discuss. And that was very quick to understand what happened. And all those updates could have been reverted. And the malware didn't have the time and the chance to spread over the internet. As I mentioned, it could happen. So we were very lucky.
If you don't mind, I have a couple of technical questions here of my own curiosity, and I hope it satisfies other people's curiosity as well. How is it that? Well, let me ask first about the execution of it, because I saw a couple of other wallets saying like, "Oh, our code's not impacted. We pin the libraries, blah blah blah." So does it matter if this code was executed in the wallet, right? Let's say in a software wallet like a MetaMask, a Rabia Phantom, or let's say it just got into, I don't know, a site like Manifold or some other site. Like, does it need to be in the wallet, or can it just be in the site? Could it just be like a random mint site? Like what would or a site like Uniswap or 1inch, etc.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So first of all, like now, like most of the wallets and even dApps, what they are doing is what you just said. They are pinning the specific version of the library they are using. So this is a good practice. However, the thing is they don't audit every single version of the library. So at some point they updated a library that they didn't audit. So it's a good practice, but it doesn't completely solve the supply chain attack. And in this case, they didn't update it to the malware version. That's probably true. I believe them. There was no debate on that. However, when you are interacting with a dApp, your software wallet will stay inside the extension, but you have plenty of JavaScript that is running everywhere. You have JavaScript that is running inside your page. You also have JavaScript that are running in other plugins like extensions. And extensions are especially dangerous because they have privilege rights over your browser. There is something that you need to know, when you have an extension that is running on your browser, if it's activated from a right standpoint, this extension can do anything. It can read everything that is displayed on your screen, but it can also modify it. For instance, the extension could modify what we are seeing now on this page. And this is a big right. So you could imagine that one of the extensions that you are using that is not a wallet could have been infected by this specific malware. Same applies with what is running on your website. If you are on a website and this extension, this library is updated with the malware, then it will be executed in the page. So that's true that it's good practice to pin the version. However, it's not bulletproof because it's difficult. You cannot audit every single library, but it gives you time if something happens. So it's good practice. However, it's not bulletproof because your extension lives in the browser, and the browser is almost an open field, and this open field can be there can be like malicious code anywhere in this open field. So the threat model is very, very difficult to hold.
Right. So I think, in this particular case, this is really a wake-up call more than anything else, and an opportunity to explain to people what security design and security by design looks like. So if I understand correctly, and trying to make sure that other people understand as well, if I'm using a software wallet, and what I mean by that is a wallet that's not using a secure screen, so that could actually also be a hardware wallet without a secure screen, or it could be a hardware wallet without a screen at all. In all of those cases, whether I'm using a browser wallet, like an app wallet on my phone, if I'm using an app wallet on my phone in conjunction with a wallet without a screen, in all of these cases, what I'm relying on is my screen for the approval, my insecure screen for the approol.
Exactly.
And then
you are relying on the integrity of the code running on your desktop or on your phone. In both cases, this integrity is very, very difficult to maintain, especially in the browser environment.
Right. I think it's important that people just understand kind of exactly what that threat vector is. And I think the NPM thing shows, I think we've kind of been nervous about, these kind of attacks at scale for a long time. And what we saw here was one that was actually downloaded more than 1 billion times. Thankfully it wasn't effective. But this is a potential attack vector. And I think the one thing I found interesting, was just this notion, as one of my friends put it to me. He said, "Wait, you mean there was a moment on the internet last week when it was either use a ledger and be sure you're checking your secure screen, or don't make any transactions?" And I said, basically yes, which is a pretty crazy place for us to be in with 4 trillion of value in the world of crypto. No?
Yeah, totally. That's totally true. But at the end, this is always correct. Now, if you either you are verifying on a secure screen on a separate device what you are actually signing, or you are just praying that there is no malware on your computer or in the environment where you are executing code. And this assumption is very difficult to hold. Like it's almost always false. And by the way, there was something very important to mention. Like NPM type of supply chain attack is not a new thing. But what is quite new is now the attacker are going to try to get your crypto, and this is the part that is new, because we are seeing a supply chain attack on NPM for quite some time, but quite often that was very targeted for nation state, to spy someone, this kind of thing. That was really what it was about. But now we are still seeing large scale attack directly targeting crypto, and this is completely new. This part is new.
Yeah, trying to get anyone who might be making a transaction. And there are, so let's talk about a couple of the other attacks that we've seen, because to me, when I look at what we saw this week from Zach.eth, the Thorchain founder, I think it was Alex Choi, lost almost $1 million, over 900K.
Yep.
And all of those, if I'm not mistaken, were of the sort of, I'm going to trick you into downloading something, which ends up having the same effect, right? I mean, one of them is, the NPM attack is, I'm going to trick every website into downloading something. Whereas these other tricks are, I'm going to reach out to you on X, Telegram, Discord, whatever, pretend I'm somebody I'm not. I'm going to invite you into a podcast. I think in Zach's case, but in some other cases, it's it's a job offer or a job interview, and you need to download this special software. And then when you do, they grab control of your computer. So it's kind of the same attack, just a different way of getting control of your computer.
Yeah, as you said, on one side you are targeting website to download a malware version of libraries, and on the other side you are targeting individuals to download a specific malware. What is quite interesting in the Zach.eth story, because he also like discussed with the attacker, and the discussion is really interesting.
Yeah, I
And
encourage
yeah,
everyone to go on it's zak.eth. I don't think that's actually his handle, but if you search zach.eth on X,
on
you'll
Twitter.
find the whole
Yeah.
video of him talking to the attacker, and keep going.
Yeah, and the attacker explains that he didn't write the malware himself, because writing malware, like this becomes more and more difficult, because like operating systems are fighting against those. Also, you have antivirus, EDR that are fighting against malware. So it becomes more and more difficult to write a malware that won't be detected by operating system or antivirus. But the thing is, now this is completely commoditized. Like, you have like teams of people that are writing the malware, and the malware is pretty simple. It just execute code like directly in memory, so that it makes the EDR and operating system work more difficult. So it executes code directly in memory, and it will scan every single file on your file system and look for like blockchain related stuff and seeds and so on. It will target directly your MetaMask, like, and all this malware, which is like a complete suite that is specialized in draining a software wallet. It costs only 3K. Like, it's free. So now you have like people that are selling this malware for 3K, and other people, now we're going to see like army of people that just buy this malware for 3K and that are trying to trick people into installing it. So
Yeah, and so it's really the same people that have been sending you spam for the last 15 years
Exactly.
to try to get you to go to some site and put in your credit card, like, oh, you got to pick up this package at the post office, and then you get that credit card form, and now they got your credit card. They don't want your credit card anymore.
No, they don't want your credit card anymore, because it doesn't work so well, and the price of the attack compared to what you will get, like these attacks don't work that much anymore. But these attacks with crypto, for now, they are completely new, and we are going to see plenty of people that are trying to implement them. So for sure, plenty of them will work. And last week, one of them worked on the co-founder of Torchain, and this guy is tech savvy. Like, it's not like a random guy, like just
It's not like someone who knows nothing about wallets or security.
And he lost more than a million. Like, it's crazy.
And these attacks were happening in software wallets, right, across the board. They're draining software wallets.
There's malware are specialized into like draining your wallet, your software wallet that are running on your computer. So again, like, the only solution against this is to have like a specific device that will store your keys, and these keys will stay on the device. And as soon as you transact, you can verify on the device what you are transacting. There is no other solution today to fight against these attacks. And please don't think that you will never be tricked. It will happen for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, we're all human beings, and these attackers are sophisticated in terms of psychology. There are known tricks that get people. They get you when you're either not cautious. I mean, like you said about the NPM attack. He was doing something that just looked normal, something that he's used to doing. It just happens to be normal. I mean, for some people that might be like signing a DocuSign or logging into a meeting or just doing something. I do it all the time. Oh, I got to join this meeting. Okay, I guess I got to upload my software. Okay, fine. But then you think you're just doing something that you do normally, but you're doing something that is really. But so, how exactly does Ledger prevent against that? And then it is still true that blind signing can keep you at risk.
So the way this kind of malware will search your file system for seeds, file system, memory, everything that is running on your computer. This malware will go after that. And
if you have put your recovery phrase into a TXT file somewhere on your computer.
Exactly. If you are using a ledger, but your backup is on a TXT file, this malware will find it very quickly. Another way to see it, if ever you took a photo with your mobile phone of your seed, this malware will find it. immediately. Like it will be very easy for this malware. So having a ledger is the solution, but you also need to create your backup properly, having a right hygiene and so on. But if you are doing this properly, like your backup is only is on a non-digital physical sheet or ledger recovery key or ledger recover on secure system, and you are using a ledger device, so that means that your seed is securely inside the ledger device. That means that the malware can search everywhere on your desktop, but it won't be able to search inside your hardware wallet because it's designed for that. However, there is still an attack that is important to have in mind, is as soon as you make a transaction, you really need to verify what you are signing, because also what attackers are doing is to try to trick you into signing a malicious transaction. And the old way was to say, okay, just send me 1 ETH and you will receive 2 ETH. This one is a very simple one, but it used to work. But now they are doing something that is more tricky, saying that if you are interacting with this smart contract, you mint this NFT, and then you will receive an airdrop later on, and so on. And you think you are doing this while you are blind signing a malicious transaction, and then you are at risk. In order to fight against those type of advanced, sophisticated threat vector, we have implemented 2 different things. The first one is clear signing. We are trying to clear sign every single transaction that are on the Web3, and this is a lot of work for us, and we won't ever be able to cover everything. But if you're clear signing and verify on device what you are signing, then you know that you are safe. And the second thing is that we have transaction check on device. So that means that before signing the transaction, we have third party that are analyzing the risk for the specific transaction, so that on device you are prompted if this transaction is dangerous or not. In order to benefit from those 2 features, the transaction check is only available on Ledger Flex and Ledger Stacks. Clear signing is available on more devices. But if you want to benefit from those, today, either you are inside Ledger Live with the Discover and everything, and you have all this protection. And if you want to interact with a dApp that is not yet in Ledger Live, the only way today is to use Wallet Connect. So you are on AAV, for instance. AAV is not yet integrated within Ledger Live. But if you want to interact with AAV, you do a Wallet Connect between AAV and Ledger Live. And as soon as you are signing inside Ledger Live, and you will be interacting with AAV. And on your device, you will clear sign and have a transaction check. And so you are sure that you are interacting with AAV and not with a malicious smart contract.
Yeah. So if I could recap for people, if you want to be safe and you really want to be as safe as you can be, first of all, make sure that your recovery phrase is not accessible digitally anywhere. If it is, get a new device, set it up, move your funds to the new device, and put good hygiene around your recovery phrase with that device. You can use something like recovery key or Ledger Recover, or you can put it on steel, you can put it on paper and put it in the right place, or do some combination of the above, but just make sure that you don't have it digitally, because in the event that someone does get access to your computer or your phone or your iCloud account, you don't want them, finding your recovery phrase anywhere. So that's make sure that's step one. Then when you're actually making a transaction, use a ledger and use Ledger Live, because then you're going to get a couple of protections. One, you get the fact that your key is offline and it stays offline, and you're going to get the benefit of transaction check, and you're going to get the benefit of clear signing everywhere that it's available. And then if you encounter something where you just absolutely can't do anything but clear sign, I would say, first of all, try to find another way. Use a service that you can clear sign with Ledger Live if it's available to you. Or talk to the dApp and go, hey, why aren't you clear signing with Ledger? Call Ledger. They want to clear sign with you. Let's figure it out. So if your favorite dApp doesn't support clear signing with Ledger, tell them to call us. If you're a dApp developer, call us. Come on, let's do this. We gotta keep people safe. Okay, before I let you go,
maybe
Charles.
If you still want to interact with this specific dApp, like just create a brand new wallet, like that is completely separated from your like main wallet, and interact with this wallet so that like you put at risk only the funds that are in this like separate wallet. It's also good practice to do it. To do this.
Great advice. Okay, before I let you go, I have three more I want to talk to you about. The first one, I think, looking at your X account, it's a CVE 2025-10585.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like so yesterday, that was yesterday. Chromium, like the Chrome team at Google, the security team is very very good, and they were able to notice that some attacks were happening on the field. So meaning that some people were simply like they had found like a vulnerability in Chromium. Chromium is the engine for Chrome and Brave and Opera now. Like plenty of browser, like it's very very good software. There was a vulnerability in the JavaScript engine. Again, JavaScript, my favorite language, in the JavaScript engine, and this vulnerability was exploited on the field. And the threat intelligence team at Google, very good team, they were able to monitor like there's illegal access to the different part of Chromium, and they directly find the vulnerability, issue fixed, and patch it very quickly. And this vulnerability was pretty nasty because that was just a type confusion. So not going into the details, but the type of use case is you're visiting a website, like any website can work, and inside the website there was some malicious JavaScript, and if there was no bug in Chrome, this JavaScript can do things in the page, but that's it. You have some isolation between like the page you are visiting and the rest of your computer. But the vulnerability was such as it was possible to enter into Chrome, but even like exit Chrome and compromise the full system. Like it's pretty crazy, this kind of vulnerability. So as an attacker, you need to write like a very specific exploit. It must be difficult. We don't have the full details now, but the specific exploit that will be just a JavaScript code. And as a user, you visit the website, and all of a sudden the attacker has like an arbitrary code execution inside Chrome first and in your system second. So that means like if you think like crypto, like you are seeing a website and you lose your crypto. So this is the kind of tool chain that can be implemented. And again, so this is not theoretical. This is what we are seeing on the field. This time, like Google.
And to your point, in very widely used software that's written by great security experts, right? These guys they're not hacks, and they're not like negligent either. They're following these things closely, but these things happen, and when they get discovered, they get they either get sat on or sold until they get exploited, right? Because these are big juicy ones that they don't want people to find too quickly, and they want to use them for something
exactly.
That's worth it, or they want to sell the exploit for a lot of money.
Yeah. Generally, the landscape of attacker is now it's completely an industry. So you have people that are searching for vulnerability and other people that are exploiting it. And when you find the vulnerabilities, so either you report it to Google and they will give you like a good bounty, and Google is giving a good bounty. Or you want to make even more money, and then you will find like the guy who will pay most money for it, and then you have like exclusivity. Like if you are like a gentleman, you gentleman hacker, let's say, because it's not the white hat. You will sell it like exclusively to like bad guys that are going to exploit it, and then. When you buy this kind of vulnerability, it's pretty expensive. I think it's maybe 500K, like this kind of price for this kind of vulnerability. So you don't want to burn it too fast. So you need to use your exploit so that you're not detected by anyone, including the threat intelligence at Google. But you need to make more money than you paid. So, or you you need to do what you wanted to do, buying this vulnerability for 500K, and this is always the difficult balance, because as soon as it's spotted on the field, like the Google developers will be very fast at solving it. So this is what's happening in the hood.
And if anybody would like to know more about this, if you're listening right now and you find this conversation interesting, I highly recommend Nicole Perlroth's book, This Is How They Tell Me the World Ends. It's a few years old, probably 6 years old at this point.
Yep, that's a good one.
But still very relevant in terms of exactly that this market exists. And also, it's a pretty readable book. It's a book that's not necessarily for technical people. It's for kind of anyone to understand that these threats are out there, and how this kind of this shadow economy works. It's just also a reminder that we as a society are more and more reliant on technology, and with that comes a lot of threats. When I would explain this book to my friends a few years ago, I would say, this book explains why you should be nervous that your local water treatment plant runs on Windows 95. Like this thing you never think about, but as soon as I say it, it should freak you out a little bit. Like even the average person's like, oh yeah, I don't want that. At the same time, I mean, we do have this incredible world right now where we've got, really a regulatory tailwind, and it's clear. We've got stablecoin regulation, and it's just clear that crypto is going to become a part of the average person's life, and not only a crypto person's life. There will be crypto under the hood. For a lot of people, and when you kind of add all of these pieces up, I think it's where people like yourself, Charles, as a security expert, must be thinking, "Oof, we're really moving into a world where this is just going to be a daily occurrence."
Yeah, definitely. Crypto is just putting money directly on the internet that is easily transferable and everything. It's great, it's great human progress, but at the same time, you have these hackers that are working for 30 years, even more than this, that are very good, and all of a sudden they have a very big live bounty. They have plenty of crypto wallet everywhere that just wait to be drained. So
Yeah.
This changed a little bit the dynamics and the incentives for attackers and people who are finding vulnerabilities.
Okay, two more. One, there was an iOS vulnerability recently as well. What was that? Was it different or similar?
Yeah, this was is quite usual. It's the operating system level. So every month or so, maybe every 3 months, you have a major iOS security update, and this one was containing a critical security update. In the release note, they mention exploitation on the field. So that means that bad guys were using this for something, we don't know what. But in the near future, we will know what for sure there will be about crypto.
What percentage of people, iOS or Android, are running on the latest version of the operating system? In other words, and I'm curious for you, if you get an operating system update, do you just do it right away because there's probably a security fix in there, or do you wait? What do you recommend people do?
You should never wait. Operating system update, you must do them directly, because as soon as you have an operating system update, what attackers are doing is decompiling the update. So that they understand what's the difference between the previous operating system and the new one. So as soon as they understand this, they will spot the vulnerability fix, the patches, and they will understand the vulnerability they didn't know before. Even if this vulnerability was already exploited on the field, it was exploited by one entity. But all of a sudden, everyone that knows how to decompile some code and knows about security and everything, they will understand the vulnerability and they will use it. And this vulnerability, the price of this vulnerability becomes very low because it's easy to implement. However, plenty of people are not up to date, and this is a big issue.
Yeah, so go everybody right now. Software update. Are you up to date?
Always.
Chrome. Make sure you're up to date on Chrome. We just told you Chrome has an exploit. They fixed it. Is it fixed on your computer? Not till you update. Exactly. Right? I mean. Okay, last one. The Tanjam posted something relative to the Tanjam wallet this week. First of all, what is the Tanjam? Second of all, what did they find?
Sure. So the Dungeon is our internal security research team. What they do day to day is to try to find vulnerabilities on Ledger's product. So this is what they do like 95% of their time. But they also spend time like analyzing the ecosystem, like different wallet, different dApp, different protocol. Sometimes it's about like a password manager. So they are doing plenty of security research, and sometimes they are analyzing like in depth, like a wallet or a dApp and so on. And recently they had a look at Tanjam. Tanjam is a wallet, but there is no screen on it, so I'm not sure it's a hardware wallet. So let's say it's a card. And you have a software application, and as soon as you want to sign a transaction, you will tap your card on your application, and the signature will be performed inside the card. The thing is, you don't have a secure screen, so everything we said before like applies. Like if you have a malware on your phone, then this card won't prevent anything. So it gives a little bit more security because your keys are offline. But as soon as you are doing a transaction, then you are at risk because you have no way to verify what you are signing. So the Dungeon had a look at this. They found a vulnerability first, like that was 1 month ago, I think, about the pairing between the card and the application. They reported this to Tanjam, and they fixed this vulnerability, and they even gave a bounty to the Dungeon. And recently they had a look to the card itself and tried to find if there was something that was not well designed. And they have so in Tanjam, in order to protect your card, you have to input like a password or a PIN in order to unlock the card so that the card can sign your transaction. And in order to protect this password or PIN, what they are doing is if you input like a wrong PIN or wrong password again and again, you have like a time delay that increases over time, so that if you want to test like so many different passwords, it's not possible anymore. And the Dungeon was like, would it be possible to bypass this time delay? And what they did was pretty simple. They selected like a specific functionality for the card, and they were like, I guess the card should like increase like a counter saying like there was one wrong try for the password input, and if we remove the power before the card increase this counter, probably the card won't increase the counter. So that was the first thing, but the problem is like how to know if the password you input is the correct one, and so they started to think about that, and what they did was simply like monitor the electromagnetic emanation of the card. So to do this, like you just need the wire around the card, and you put a probe, and you put this on the oscilloscope, and on the oscilloscope you can see like the electromagnetic like activity of the card. And what is fun is when you input a correct password, the activity is very different from when you input like a bad password. So what they did is pretty simple. They test the password, look at the oscilloscope, and if the trace look like a bad password, they remove the power so that the card doesn't have the chance to increase the pin try counter. And if it's the correct password, you find the password. So doing so, you can like try many different passwords without the card noticing that you are trying password.
And can you do that programmatically, or do you actually have to do that as a human being?
When I say you watch the oscilloscope, like everything is completely automated.
Right, but I mean, even like inputting the pin code and then pulling the power, like you do everything sort of automated. Yeah,
so both of like, all this stuff are completely automated, and I think they didn't try to optimize the attack, but I think like without optimizing anything, they can input like 2.5 different passwords per second. So it's not crazy fast, but it's much faster than what you could do, like inputting with your finger, and you don't have the time delay. So you can really like brute force like every single possibility for the password. So this is what they did, and as always, like the dungeon is a white hat team. So what they did is responsible, coordinated disclosure. So they reached out to Tanjam, explaining what they found and explaining the vulnerability and so on. And they agreed with Tanjam for a period of time, like 3 months. This is like the industry standard, so that Tanjam has the chance to upgrade their firmware and fix the vulnerability. And then the idea is that at the end of the period of time, like we publish a blog post explaining how it works. Tanjam explain also what happened and how they fixed it. And everyone is happy. The ecosystem has learned from this experience, and then we have made the ecosystem a safer place. This is what happens all the time, but not this time, which was a little bit frustrating for me, to be honest. So the dungeon disclosed the vulnerability, but the thing is, like Tanjam cannot upgrade the firmware of their card, and for some reason they say they do that for security reason. And to be honest, I work in security for my whole life, and like being able to upgrade the system is the #1 security feature. Like if you don't have this feature, like security is a moving target. Like you always need to have a way to upgrade software, firmware, everything, so that if ever there is a vulnerability, and there are always vulnerability, and if ever there is something that can improve security, you can. But in their case, they cannot upgrade the firmware. What they could have done is like create a new version of their card, and without the vulnerability, and send this card for free or with a discount for their users. I think that would have been the right thing to do, but they didn't do that, and they decided to say this is not a vulnerability, this does not apply. This and also they mentioned something that is a little bit weird. They said that if you are doing this, like the card would die very quickly. And frankly, I evaluated cards for years, like before Ledger, and a card has a pretty good lifespan, especially if you avoid flash writing. And this specific attack like prevent flash writing, because the flash write would increase the value of the pin try counter, and the attack wouldn't be efficient anymore. So in this setup, I don't see any reason why the card would die in the process. And by the way, the dungeon implemented this attack for a couple of weeks, and no cards was destroyed. So I don't think it's a good analysis of the situation, to be honest. So this is where we are now. Again,
so
like these attacks.
Just so I understand correctly, so what it allows you to do is to really brute force the pin.
Yeah.
So a longer pin would be a better, give you more resistance in it. Correct?
Exactly.
So a short pin could be defeated. How quickly? Like if you have a short pin with this attack?
I think if you are using like a 4-digit pin, it's a couple of hours. I don't remember, but it's very, very quick. Yes.
Yeah, and if you have an 8-digit pin, do you have time scale on that, or?
If you, I don't. Everything is written in the blog post. But if you can use only digit, but you can also use every single character that you have on your keyboard.
Yeah.
So if you are starting using like a complex character of 8 digits of 8 characters, then the attack becomes very difficult to implement and would take ages. I think that it can be optimized so that you can test more than 2.5 passwords per second. But with this attack, you won't be able to test like 100 passwords per second. So if you are using like a 8-character long password, this attack becomes not practical in practice. Right.
Got it. Very helpful. That was super helpful to explain all of these things. Are there any? Did I miss any? I'm just looking at this is literally just looking at the last 2 weeks. Are there any that
exactly. There are others, but some of them we cannot. We don't have all the details yet. So maybe let's meet in 2 weeks and do the same.
We'll catch you up. So I think it is actually an interesting feature. I think it's good. We'll expand the amount of people. I mean, you've really taught me so much about these things that I simply didn't know before. And you look, it makes sense. I mean, there was far less, the value on the internet that you could have stolen, 15 years ago amounted to credit cards and, personally identifiable information, not trivial. If you lose, precious photos or anything that can certainly have an impact on people. But now we're talking about, an internet of value, with more and more people coming online every day, and also, the value going up, and probably value going up between now and the end of the year. And like when that value goes up, then these attacks become, everything is kind of time and money, right? So,
Exactly.
what's the size of the prize if you're able to pull off one of these attacks? So I think we should, as these things come up, especially, if there are things where people kind of go, huh? Like, can you please explain this to me? Then I'm gonna continue to reach out to you and ask you to help us parse through them, if you don't mind.
With pleasure.
Cool. Thank you, Charles. Thanks for taking the time. I hope everyone appreciates it as well. If you do, hit Charles on X and tell him thank you, please.